The Temple of Old has given Usmer a new vision of the world around him. His earlier endeavor in the ancient temple brought him to a place known as the Realm of Darkness. Though he does not yet know of its significance, he soon will discover the true meaning behind his prophecy. Within the Temple of Old, he had found a certain book, known as the Book of Power. He read it entirely, but left it inside the Realm of Darkness, leaving with a couple of other books he found on his way. With this, he set off to Issilion to meet the 6 kings. After a journey of at least a few hours, did his journey bring him to his destination. He crossed the forests of Mid-Arthel and headed for the fallen kingdom of Issilion. Once arrived, he looked upon the majestic ruins and the large towering buildings which once represented the homes of the Illuminar. Usmer arrived last, seeing that the others had already met in the Great Hall of Kings in the center of the city. He greeted them with his uttermost respect. These men were like him, destined to bring peace to the world. So forth their meeting began, and the kings discussed the politics of the 7 kingdoms. What did their people need? What needed to be done to bring the 7 races together? Usmer had long been awaiting this meeting, knowing that he could change a lot in the world if he could find the right words. Each king had read his book and knew that Usmer's word counted as the highest. After a full day in Issilion, Usmer's intentions had turned. He had grown a certain distaste for the 6 kings, having talked with him for a long time about a great many things. He believed he outsmarted them in every single way. Why should there be need for 7 kings if one could do the job, Usmer thought. Thus his plan came to a start, just having learned about a special weapon which could bring down the world to its knees, but the time was simply not there yet. The kings returned home after their long meeting, each believing their union had grown stronger. But Usmer was about to change everything.
King Usmer returned to his kingdom of Westgard, but his usually cheerful demeanor was marred by a sense of unease. Dark thoughts plagued his mind as he journeyed home, casting a shadow over his usual charisma and intelligence. The people of Westgard had always known him as a joyful and positive leader, but now there was something disturbing lurking within him. The king's inner turmoil threatened to consume him as he grappled with the darkness that had taken root in his mind. Returning to his castle, Usmer took his seat on the throne, contemplating the fate of the 7 realms. Thoughts of war and destruction crossed his mind, but he resisted the urge to give in to his darker impulses. His wife, Evanuel, sought to comfort him with her love, a soothing presence in his tumultuous thoughts. However, the words he had read in the ancient Book of Power had planted a seed of doubt in his mind, altering his perception of the world around him. Though he longed for peace and prosperity, the darkness within him threatened to consume all that he held dear. Evanuel's normally loving husband, Usmer, began to act erratically, shouting and assaulting her. Despite his cruelty, she refused to leave the castle, holding on to hope that her beloved Usmer would return to his senses. Tragically, he did not, and instead of finding peace, Evanuel met a grisly end at the hands of her own husband. Their once happy marriage was brutally destroyed in front of their son Issilion, who could only watch in horror as his family was torn apart by madness. After Evanuel's body was buried, Usmer donned the guise of a mysterious black mage and sent letters to the 6 kings, each one telling tales of a legendary weapon that could only be crafted at the summit of Garadas, the tallest mountain in the world. The kings were spellbound by the mage's words, believing in the existence of this powerful weapon and the need to find it. Usmer's disguise was flawless, leading the kings to embark on a journey to the pinnacle of Garadas in search of this mythical weapon. The intricate plan had indeed succeeded. The 6 kings were all on their way to the mountain top, lured by the promise of a powerful weapon that could grant them complete dominion over the world. Little did they know, their paths had been orchestrated by the ancient entity known as Usmer, leading them towards a fateful encounter that would change the course of their destinies forever.
Seven rulers stood at the summit of the throat of the world, the highest peak in the land. They were destined to bring peace to the realm, but now they faced each other with anger and determination in their eyes. Each believed they were the rightful ruler, and none were willing to back down. It was Usmer who had orchestrated this showdown, and now the battle for power had begun. The mighty Dunnar king Dembadil raised his war hammer and struck down the other kings in his path, while the elven king clashed fiercely with Usmer. The cunning Haldar king Fendel deftly avoided the Dunnar king's attacks and swiftly delivered a fatal blow, claiming the first victory in the Battle of the Seven Kings. Meanwhile, Elmir, Norlon and Mitchell engaged in a fierce duel, but it was Elmir's unmatched skill and speed that ultimately proved superior, securing his place as a formidable adversary in the ongoing conflict. Norlon and Michael stumbled as Usmer delivered a fatal blow to Lindar, the Elven King. With only 3 of the original 7 warriors left standing, Usmer observed as Fendal attempted to defeat Elmir, only to meet his demise like the others before him. Now only Usmer and Elmir remained, the fate of the world hanging in the balance. In the midst of turmoil, Elmir sought answers from Usmer, the King of the West. However, instead of providing clarity, Usmer responded with a ruthless show of brutality. The epic battle between Elmir and Usmer raged on for 3 grueling days, leaving both warriors battered and broken. As Elmir finally succumbed to Usmer's superior strength, the king stood triumphant as the last remaining monarch of the 7 kingdoms. But Usmer's thirst for power was far from quenched, and he knew that his conquest was far from over. In the heart of the sacred chamber, surrounded by the combined power of the 7 lords, the final task remained: to forge the weapon of ultimate might. Only in this hallowed space could the weapon be imbued with the strength and magic needed to fulfill its destiny. The very fabric of the world hung in the balance as Usmer, the mighty king of men, seized dominion over the 7 realms.